Well, in just a few moments, we will be talking to Nadhim Zahawi. And he, of course, is the minister who is in charge of vaccine deployment, and a very successful rollout it has been so far. Some 5% of the population would appear to actually have been already vaccinated, way ahead of many of our neighbours across the channel. Delighted to say Nadhim Zahawi does join us right now. Good morning to you, Minister.
Good morning.
Good morning. I know we don't have much time with you because, of course, you've got a proper job to go and get on with doing, and it seems you are doing it remarkably well at the moment. There's so many vaccines being rolled out. What do you put this success down to?
The NHS family, the military, the Royal Air Force, the Army, and of course the Navy, and the volunteers. 200,000 volunteers, the marshals that you're seeing in the vaccination centres and other sites as well. The doctors, the nurses, the pharmacists, the dentists, literally everybody. This is the best of Britain has come together to deliver what I think is an incredible infrastructure to deploy the vaccines as they come in. The limitation now is vaccine supply, and of course, ultimately, protecting the most vulnerable. Our target is by mid-February, we will protect the top 4 categories in the list of most vulnerable that the Joint Committee on Vaccination and Immunisation have given us. That's 88% of the mortality of people who are dying from this virus. So it's a race against death in many ways, Julia, but I'm confident we'll hit that target. And then we'll keep going. We'll do category 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9. And that's the first phase. And then we'll work on second phase as well.
Okay, well, I'm guessing you're the same as me. You're in the 9 category. That's over 50, so you don't have any health problems. And Dominic Raab, your colleague, the Foreign Secretary, has said that all adults could be done by September. Some reports suggesting it could be done by June. I mean, again, let's not overpromise and underdeliver. It's the other way around these days. But what does this rollout, very successful rollout of the vaccination programme, always give credit where it's due here, but how does that translate into us getting back to normal life? Because we don't just want to see deaths and infections and hospitalisations down, as much as we all want those things. We also want to see a return to life for those who are not at high risk. Anyway, the children going back to school, youngsters going back to university, people getting back to their jobs and their businesses, saving the economy, saving people's livelihoods. What is the timetable being discussed? What is the exit strategy based on your vaccination timetable?
So if we protect the top 4 cohorts, which is absolutely our commitment, by mid-February, that is 88% of mortality, 2 weeks after the mid-February number, 2 weeks after people have got that protection from these incredible vaccines. And I think we then begin to look at how we gradually ease the non-pharmaceutical interventions, the NPIs, which I know have been the bane of your life and many people's life, listeners, and the whole country. And of course, the caveat is one, as Jonathan Van Tam, the Deputy Chief Medical Officer, said, we don't yet know the impact of the vaccines on transmission, although there's some early positive evidence from Israel, where they vaccinated 20% of the over 60s, and 2 weeks later they're beginning to see a marked reduction in serious illness, hospitalization, and death.
So you're saying from the first week of March there'll be a gradual easing from lockdown?
Well, I'm saying to you, we will absolutely make sure that the easing of the lockdown is done as soon as possible. The Public Health England have got a very big, deep survey to look at community infection and how the impact of the vaccines are having on that. As I say, other countries, it looks positive. I think it would be very unwise. You just said it. You don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. I want to underpromise and overdeliver. So we keep going. Mid-February, we do the next 5 categories. That's 99% of mortality in that first phase is the 9 categories. And then hopefully, we can be with confidence able to open the economy and never have to go back to any lockdown because the combination of vaccinating the whole of the adult population, or those who will take the vaccine, of course, and testing will mean that we will never have to return to another lockdown.
Well, I mean, certainly that is the hope. I mean, goodness me, I will certainly be campaigning for that. But the point is, it's going. Is it the top 4 categories? Is it the 9 categories? People in their 50s. I'm in my 50s. You're healthy in your 50s. You're at incredibly low risk of getting very seriously ill or of dying from COVID. Should we be locking down an economy, stopping children going to school and young people living their lives, people running their businesses, having their jobs because of a low risk to healthy people who are unlikely to die?
So that's a really important question. So some of the evidence, again, I go back to my friend Jonathan Van Tam, we're seeing 50 to 60-year-olds needing sort of 2 to 3 days of hospitalization and oxygen to recover from COVID. And so I have to just be very careful because I want to make sure that we manage expectations correctly.
I mean, no offence, that is what the NHS is for. We have paid a lot of taxes and will continue to pay a lot of taxes for the NHS to treat people with illnesses. That is their job. Can we stop being surprised that the NHS is being expected to look after poorly people?
No, I don't disagree with you. And the NHS is doing an incredible job under very difficult circumstances, both in terms of people being infected every 30 to 40 seconds, but also delivering the largest vaccination program in the history of this country. And you said it earlier, credit where credit is due. The NHS family and the heroes of the NHS and our armed forces are doing a tremendous job. But nevertheless, if we let this new variant, which is incredibly infectious, allow it to spread in the 50-plus-year-olds, you will see pressure on the NHS. And we want to make sure when we actually begin to open up the economy, we do it so it's permanent, not one where we have to go back into another lockdown.
Do you understand, just finally, I know you need to go, but why a lot of people are very untrusting? And I know there's a lot of public support for this lockdown and because we've got the vaccine rollout. But I think in the future that people may come to judge this differently when we see public inquiry and a lot more of the facts become relevant and open to people. But do you understand why a lot of people don't trust the government when they say, we'll do our best to go and we won't go into a second lockdown? We are talking being 10 months on from 3 weeks to flatten the curve. And we are a lot of weeks on from 3 weeks to flatten the curve, and we're still in the 3rd lockdown.
So there's been, I founded YouGov and therefore take research very seriously. There is very high support for the decisions that the Prime Minister made on the lockdown because of this new variant. He got the information on the 18th of December. He made the decision on the 19th to go into Tier 4 and then very quickly into this lockdown to make sure that we save as many lives as we can, and of course make sure that the NHS
save as many COVID lives. Lockdowns cost other lives. That's been cost benefit analysis is very clear now.
I hear you, but I think it was the right decision. I think every country is grappling with this. We're seeing it in Germany, in France, even Israel, which has had a tremendous start with the vaccination. They're still, that same week, they were debating whether they close schools or not and go into another lockdown. So I think what we do is focus on vaccination, get those 4 cohorts vaccinated by mid-February, keep going on the other 5. Then phase 2, we begin to look at those who, through their professions, of course, we'll take advice from the Joint Committee on Vaccination and Immunisation, but teachers, policemen and women, shop workers and others is my instinct that we should, through no fault of their own, they will come into contact with the virus in much greater volume than others. And we need to make sure that they're protected as well. And we'll do this. We'll do it together. This is the best of Britain coming together and actually having a permanent solution to this pandemic. And coming out of lockdown, hopefully, in a way that I can come back on your program and say to you, we've done it.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I can't wait for that interview. Nadhim Zahawi, MP, Minister for COVID vaccine deployment. No doubt at all, that vaccine deployment is one of the great success stories of this, and all credit to you for your role in that. And again, all credit to all those, as you said, the NHS family, military, volunteers, everyone else taking part in that. Absolutely. I mean, again, always credit where it's due here on this show.